And we're back with the Classic Auto Mall Show from the Classic Auto Mall studio. Joining us for our weekly segment, Keith Martin, publisher of Sports Car Market Magazine. Good morning, afternoon, evening, Keith.
Good afternoon or good morning to you as well, Stewart.
How's everything in your world? It looks like it's sunny there, and it's raining here, so...
It's sunny and it's hot here. We're getting Oregon summer now.
Really? I like that. What is it? Oregon summer is like mid-60s or?
Oh, 70s and 80s, and it lasts a day or two.
So you get all your whatever you're going to do when it's bright and sunshiny out done in a couple of days. You get
all your convertibles with the tops down, and then in 1 week you drive them all and then put them back away.
I like that. My wife drove her convertible Aston Martin yesterday, and she said, "Oh, I love this car. I miss it so much, except trying to go to Walmart in a convertible two-seater car doesn't work very well."
No, I don't think.
It's not just.
Stuart, I want to tell you, this podcast is very important to me, and I wanted to be pumped and ready to deliver top flight material to you.
Yes.
So what I did for you this morning. Now I'm on a diet because we're all on a diet, right?
Sure.
Everyone's on a diet.
Absolutely.
And I looked at my diet and I went down to the coffee shop and I said, give me the full fat latte and the scone with the icing and the Miriam berries, because I need that sugar energy to deliver for Stewart. I am here with my sugar. If I tested my sugar, it'd be like the island of Hawaii.
Man, I can feel the energy. It's coming right through the screen and hit me in the face. I'm loving it, Keith.
And I won't be able to eat again for 3 weeks.
Isn't that the truth? Is our indulgences have to be kind of spread out over a period of time, right?
It's true.
Yeah, well, and enjoy that, because you know what? By golly, nobody's stopping us. We're adults, and nobody says we can't do it anymore. And good Lord, that's a large cup of coffee.
And that's the baby size.
I don't even know what to order. I'm not sure what I'm getting. Is it Vente Latte? I don't know. Anyway.
I know.
So your blog this week that we're bringing to life is, do you put your charger on a timer? And when you say charger, you don't mean a Dodge Charger. You mean your battery charger.
Right.
And I am surprised at this. They say that you had a trickle charger on your Lotus Elise and it ruined the battery. What? Wait a minute. A trickle charger is supposed to be left on forever, right? Or in theory.
I thought so too. The shop that I was dealing with said that my trickle charger that I supplied them was a cheap one and defective. But I've never heard that before. I've had trickle chargers on my cars all my life, and I thought they shut off by themselves when they got to a full charge.
That's usually the idea and why you like them so much. Those old big box things we used to roll around with the handles on them, and you put those on, and boy, you didn't leave that on overnight because you'd come home to a fried battery the next day. But I've never heard of that. And like you said, even the cheapy ones that you could get at your local whatever mart that looked like a weird little contraption, they lasted forever and never any trouble.
Right. I was surprised, but I thought I'd just pose the question. I did get some interesting responses with people sending me pictures of their trickle chargers on timers.
Really?
So that they would charge 4 to 6 hours a day, and that was it.
But wait a minute. The whole design of the trickle charger, I thought, was that it trickle charged the battery, and when it got to a certain level, it would either up the trickle or lower the trickle.
Yeah, or shut it off.
Yeah, or shut it off. I think we've untrickled this thing somehow.
The Lotus is a complicated car in terms of electricity.
Right.
The downfall of those cars will not be the mechanicals because they're Toyota. The downfall will be the electronics.
Right.
They did an upgrade to the software in the car, which caused the car to eat its own VIN and forget what car it was.
I've never seen a car eat its own VIN.
Well, so we went to go through DEQ for emissions testing, and the VIN came back all zeros.
Well, that's the rarest Lotus Elise on the planet, right?
I know, exactly. So we're in Portland. We had to drive 180 miles to Seattle to the nearest dealer to get the car reprogrammed.
Wow. Never heard of that. So it ate its VIN. It's like
but that's going to be that's my favorite sports car in the world.
Right.
The Lotus.
Right.
And I can't drive one now because of my strokes, but But the downfall of that car will be its electronics over time.
And don't you think the collectability of a lot of cars will be their downfall will be the electronics and all of that will be too pricey to fix or just so antiquated nobody even wants to bother?
I agree with that. I do believe people will be making software workarounds as our technology improves. They will be able to find, maybe duplicate the chips that are needed and things like that.
Sure.
But I know I've heard stories about Ferraris with their retractable roofs and the parts aren't available and they're $50,000. And and maybe 3D printing will help. I don't know.
I talk about 3D printing, but I actually have no earthly idea what I'm even talking about. I don't even know what it means. Does it mean that if you want this remote control rebuilt, you just you just program it in the computer and it makes it? I don't get that. Where's all the parts? Where's all the guts? Where's all the everything? I don't know.
That I don't think will happen, but I think it's like little tiny mechanical pieces,
right.
Like and maybe even something like a connecting rod or some part.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes and what becomes collectible. And as we know, predicting collectability is very difficult. I remember when the Ford GT came back out there for a while, it was priced at $160,000, I think. And at one point in time, you could buy them for $90,000. And we thought those were instant collectibles. Well, we were wrong about those. And then boom, they came back with a vengeance and now they're $500,000.
Yeah, that's a car that I don't really understand. I tested one for the New York Times. I was the first independent journalist to be given a Ford GT, and they said just bring it back in a week and go wherever you want.
Wow!
And it's a great car, but it's a tribute car,
right? And
the whole bump for the Gulf colors is beyond my comprehension.
Right. It doesn't. Yeah, it's hard to imagine that means as much as it means in that world. I don't get it. But there's a lot of things that we don't get in this world when it comes to the car hobby, and that's what makes it interesting and fun for everybody, I guess. That different strokes for different folks.
Oh, I agree, and I never dispute what somebody wants to pay for a car.
Right. Yeah, because
when people say they look at something that was online, they say, "Oh, well, that car, they paid way too much for that." Well, no, that's not true. That car was worth that much that day to that guy.
Sure. When people say, "Oh, every so-and-so's prices or Classic Automobile's prices, or they're all overpriced, or they're all," no, that's not true. Listen, just because somebody's asking a certain price for it, if you knew the reserve at every reserve-based auction, nobody would ever go to the auctions because the reserves are always set on, oh, if I hit a home run. But the reality of it is it's probably going to end up right here, and I'll take that, but I'd like it to be here.
When we were doing What's My Car Worth with Auctions America, which was a shoot off of RM, we would talk to the owners and talk to the auctioneers and kind of get a sense of where they thought the car would be, and the auctioneers were almost always within 5%.
Right. Yeah.
They see so many cars, and unless you get two crazies who are after the car, all these cars fall within a certain range.
Yeah. Well, it was funny. It's like watching, barret-jackson when they had the fantasy bid where you guess the price of the car. I'm always amazed at how good those guys are when you have these outlier prices that you don't normally see, but you get two guys who just don't want to give in to the other, and the price goes, 20%, 30%, maybe more than what the perceived book value of it is. Right. Then how do you predict that? I never understood that.
You would like to be the guy. I would love to write about one of my own cars and say extremely well sold.
Yeah, I don't want the one that says well bought and I'm selling.
I end up being like right in the middle.
Yeah, it's funny what we look for when we sell a car to a guy and he lives far away and doesn't come here and look at it is the car was a little nicer than you described. Not a lot nicer because then we left money on the table and if it's not as nice as we described, then we lied to him. So we like that just a little bit nicer.
I think that's really important. Yeah. I think when I used to sell a lot of cars overseas back in the era, the compliment was the car was better than I expected.
Yeah, I mean, you can't ask for much more than that. That's about as good as it gets in the car sales world.
Well, what's interesting about the online auction stuff is I think about how we would go to a land auction and we'd spend 5 minutes walking around a car and kind of looking underneath it and look under the hood and stuff. We didn't have 300 photographs to look at
of underneath and everything, right?
Yeah, and 200 people who are pouncing on every imperfection and every misspoken word, and the trolls. I find them I don't find them to be a pain in the ass. I find them to be entertaining.
I'm right with you. I'm 100%. I love it. I love to read the guys who will just come in hard.
That's right. Yeah, there's some guy online who's a 914 specialist, and whenever there's a 914 online, like he comes in with like 800 words.
Yeah, it's like
car. He just dismantles the car.
Yeah, you have to take a break in the reading. You got to like, well, I'll come back to that.
Exactly. Chapter 2, please.
Exactly. So anyway, well, glad we solved the trickle charger, although we didn't, but hopefully you'll get some good feedback from some of your listeners and some of our listeners and watchers as well too. And we'll look forward to talking next week about whatever our talking about next week brings us, right?
That's exactly right. Great being here, Stewart.
Love to have you, Keith. We'll be back next week with the Classic Auto Mall Show. We'll see you then.
Here's a special offer from Sports Car Market Magazine. Get a 6-month subscription for just $19.95 by going to sportscarmarket.com/test drive and the number 6. That's sportscarmarket.com/test drive 6. If you're a buyer, a seller, or just general classic car enthusiast, publisher Keith Martin says,
we've been around almost 40 years. It's the Wall Street Journal of the collector car world.
Activate your 6-month trial of Sports Car Market Magazine by going to sportscarmarket.com/test drive 6. Offers for a limited time. Be in the know with Sports Car Market.
The Classic Auto Mall Show with your host, Stewart Howden. Available on classicautomall.com, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.